From WXXI News, this is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. Our connection this hour was made in a car headed for the Jeopardy studios, where a dad was getting quizzed by his 10-year-old daughter. How do you get ready for Jeopardy? Well, she only wanted to ask him questions about Olivia Rodrigo. Fortunately, Dad was ready. He aced her exam. That dad, Kamau Bell, won his first game on Celebrity Jeopardy. He joked that he had never been a contestant on Jeopardy before, but he had been asked to give a video clue years earlier, which confirmed that he was officially a successful person. And if you know Kamau Bell's work, you know he's not only successful, it is a prolific body of work. He's an author, Substack writer, a documentary filmmaker who created a 4-part series on Bill Cosby, podcaster, television host, and of course he is a comedian. Bell does not shy away from the politics of the moment. He has a lot to say about the state of these ostensibly United States. He's in Rochester for a show tomorrow night at 7:30 at the Nazareth Arts Center. Tickets still available. They'd love to see you there. And he is so good, and he's so generous with his time to be here. Kamau Bell, welcome to the program. Thank you for making
This
time.
is not generosity. This is corporate responsibility.
Corporate responsibility.
No, I love NPR. I love public radio. I do a lot of work in public radio in the Bay Area. So when I saw this on my schedule, I was like, yay, a good interview.
Well, I hope it lives up to that. Let's talk in 50 minutes and see how you feel. Yeah. You did great on Celebrity Jeopardy, by the way.
I did surprisingly well, and that I don't think of myself as a person who wins things. I have won some things in my later years, but I didn't study. I want to be clear about that. I want to be honest about that. I took the same approach that I did to high school. Like I was like, I just have to figure it out.
Just cram at the last second.
Yeah, cram at the last second. Also, just know that also now I'm like every time I think about doing extra things in my life, I'm like, I got 3 kids.
Yeah,
I'm doing a lot. So
yeah.
I did, but it was but it was Celebrity Jeopardy, which I say is like being the smartest celebrity is like being the strongest 2-year-old. It's not exactly,
oh man,
So I did what I could.
Did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun.
It was fun to watch you.
Are the best people that I've ever met in show business.
Wow.
Yeah, it is it's the last factory job, so everybody there really appreciates the fact that they this job's they've had it forever and they will probably have it forever. And also with Ken Jennings taking it over in a very seamless and also respectful way. I mean, the woman who did my hair said, I've been doing Vanna White's hair for 30 years. I was like, you're a bigger celebrity than I am. So everybody there is so sweet and nice. And so I've been back and I did a live Jeopardy podcast. I'm really trying to get my own job at Jeopardy because, again, it's the last factory job in show business.
And by the way, this is something that the entire Connections team was asking Kamau about before the show because we're all Jeopardy fans. We did have fun watching you, but we noticed you were pretty good on the timing of that buzzer. That's like a nuanced part of being on the show, isn't it?
You have to, I found, because the first 2 episodes, I won the first one and the second one, that was in one day. So, yeah, because, the people who play Jeopardy, often you see them over the course of a week, and that's all for one day.
Yeah.
So, if you noticed, the first, and luckily Celebrity Jeopardy has Triple Jeopardy, the first round I'm bad. Second round I start to warm up. By the third round, I got it. I think I got it. So I think that's what it was. In regular Jeopardy, I don't think I would do as well because I would not be a third round. Also, the questions would be much harder. But, yeah, it's really about, getting into a Zen state and not, even though, because you read the answer faster than Ken reads it, which he does on purpose. And so,
do they have a board in front of your monitor? Are you seeing the question too, or are you listening?
You're seeing, yeah. You see, there's a screen. There's also lights that you're not supposed to. That they tell you don't buzz in until until the lights either finish or start. I can't remember, but you're panicked the whole time.
Well, that was definitely a lot of fun. And you've got a lot going on that we're going to be talking about here. I want to mention again, Kamau Bell's here because the show tomorrow night, 7:30 at the Nazareth Arts Center. He's touring around the country. A lot of your colleagues. Marc Maron has been on tour. I mean, by the way, if you haven't heard, Marc Maron should have done his podcast forever. We don't all get what we want.
I'm so proud of him, and I don't we're not best friends, but he does. I do consider him a friend, and he has let me know that he answers my texts, which I appreciate.
That's pretty good.
It is believe me, and I don't text him that often because I don't want to get messed up. But I was in his documentary that just came out, and I'm happy to be in them. But I'm proud of him for doing it the way he wanted to do it.
Well, and so. You joked that when you were on Jeopardy, that was your first time as a contestant, but you had been asked to give a clue. I don't know when that was. Was that in the Trebek era, or is that after?
No. Everything. All my. So I was a clue in the Trebek era.
Oh, you were a clue.
And
okay.
And the person who answered it was Ken Jennings.
Oh, look at that! Look at that symmetry.
No, for sure, it was crazy.
So when you're the answer or you're a clue,
you
really have made it.
Yeah, you have made. And then when I was there and I won, they actually gave me a framed version of the clue that's in my office. Like,
Did they tell you before it happened?
No, I got texts from people.
No way.
And the texts are funny. You were just on Jeopardy. No, I wasn't.
I'm pretty sure I would know if I was on Jeopardy.
But then a friend, this guy it came from some guy I know a little bit. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, and then I think he either sent me a video clip or somebody else did, and then I was on the West Coast, so it aired on the East Coast. So it took a while before a couple hours ago. I was at the park with my daughter.
They should give you that.
I think it's kind of cool to just find out. It's like when you're a clue in a crossword puzzle, like we all are sometimes, and you just somebody.
I'm sorry, I've never been a clue in a crossword.
That's just the celebrities. I'm sorry. But I'll say that has happened a couple times, and you just find out. I've never made New York Times, but I made USA Today, so I'm
That's
cooking.
pretty good.
Yeah. Thanks for your condescension. That was pretty good.
You flew in last night late. You're flying a lot. Next hour on this show, we're talking about what the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, recently said.
The reality show star who, okay. I just want to make sure we give his full resume.
Yeah. So Americans are not happy with air travel. Americans, if you ask Americans in surveys, they don't trust that their flights are going to be on time. They're upset with how much it costs. They're upset with hidden fees. The whole thing, they don't really like it.
Yeah.
And Sean Duffy comes out last week and he said, I don't know if you saw what he says. He said,
you need to dress nicer.
Dress nicer. So number one, if you just dress up like we used to in the 50s.
That'll make the planes
and if
go.
we're nicer, if you just have a better attitude.
Yeah.
So you fly a lot.
I fly a lot.
Do you want, before we get into next hour, do you want to weigh in on the Secretary's comments there?
People used to dress nice on airplanes because it was a new thing and it was special. We are now basically now a lot of the airlines are basically like, what if Greyhound had a plane? And so if they're going to treat it that way, then they get what they pay for. And I feel like this: if you want me to, there are literally planes that will charge you to take a carry-on on. There are airlines that would charge you to take a carry-on. If we're going to do that, I'm wearing flip-flops and cut-off jean shorts, even if it's cold, just to show you that that's how I feel like you're treating me.
I do think I draw the line at bare feet on planes.
No, I really don't wear flip-flops. That was a joke.
No. Flip-flops is a form of a shoe. I mean, when people take their socks off.
No, that's true. When you go full bottom foot on a plane, we put you on a list.
Yeah. Talking to Kamau Bell. There's this idea in comedy. I know a number of people. In fact, our producer, Megan Mack, is the best comedy coach in town.
Oh, really?
She really is.
Is she really a comedy coach?
Yeah.
Like a professional comedy coach?
She went to Second City years ago and commuted from Rochester to Toronto.
So. Wow. I went to Second City years ago, but I lived in Chicago, so I took the bus. Yeah.
The ground bus.
The ground bus, not the city bus.
Yeah, right. And so, we talk to people who have kind of dabbled, or they're doing annual shows, or sometimes stand-up, sometimes sketch. And one thing I hear a lot is there's schools of thought on Trump or politics, which you don't shy away from.
No.
Which people like Marc Maron don't shy away from. But then there's people like Nate Bargatze who are like, nobody wants that right now. And there's different approaches. But what I hear from people in comedy is like, if you're going to do Trump, you got to have something new to say, or you got to be really funny because it's been done. A lot's been done.
You just got to be funny. I don't even have something. You have to have something new to say. You just got to be funny. I mean, I think you have to be funny for the audience you're standing in front of. Let's be clear. Nate Bargatze was in large part discovered by Marc Maron.
I don't think I knew that story.
Marc used to take Nate on the road. Nate used to open for Marc.
I did not know that.
No, and if you go back far enough in the podcast, he's like, hey, my friend Nate. He would bring Nate on the podcast as his friend who was his opener,
like a charity act.
Yeah, but Nate was like, so even Marc understands this guy's funny. He's not funny like I'm funny, and even though my audience wants me, I don't think they want a bunch of me, so I'm gonna give him Nate. So yeah. I think I'm not telling comedians to do jokes they don't want to do. So you do the jokes you want to do. I do the jokes I want to do. But let's be clear. There's a reason why Nate sells out football stadiums, and me and Marc are like, I hope to get 1,000 people to come to. Well, Marc's doing better than me, but anyway. But but it's like we're not. There's the bigger, broader, less political acts generally are the ones who sell the most tickets. But the comics that are acclaimed the most by the critic class are the Marc Marons.
There is. That's really interesting because there is like this sliding scale. So Bargatze's on the far side of totally like intentionally non-political
and funny,
and like legit funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I like his work a lot. I'm just observing sort of the spectrum of the genre. Then you've got people like Shane Gillis who are like, is he political? Like he's definitely political, but some people are having a hard time diagnosing his politics. Some people like that. Some people are frustrated by that.
Shane is doing all that on purpose.
He's very good at it. He seems very smart about it.
And he's also one of the only. He's the only comic who is technically under the umbrella of the Rogan sphere who is also can move out of that and go host Saturday Night Live. Like, so he is under this very right wing, Trump affiliated.
Oh, okay. So that's the Rogan sphere.
Yeah, the Rogan. The most of them were like many of them were at the inauguration, and Nate knows enough to be like, I am not going anywhere near the inauguration. A bunch of those Rogan Sphere comics did the Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival, the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and Shane said on podcast, I was invited. They offered me a big check. They doubled it when I said no, and I said I just can't go. And so Shane is smarter than most people realize, and I don't know him, but I can tell.
No, we're going to talk about Riyadh coming up here because I was reading in your Substack, which is great, by the way.
Thank you.
Who's with me? The Substack, Kamau Bell. You can join it as a subscriber now. He's nice enough to let you read a little bit too.
Yeah,
if you want.
You read the whole thing for free.
Okay.
You just can't comment because I don't need to hear everybody say what they think about me. You got to pay to comment.
And I like this new innovation of sizzle and steak, by the way. But anyway.
Oh, thanks. This week was a new one. Okay.
I like that new idea, even though I'm not like a skip to the end guy.
No, but it gives
I see what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm trying to give people. I've heard some people say it's long, and it's true. So I'm trying to give a little like it's only this long.
You're rewarding the short attention span.
I am rewarding the short attention span.
But when it comes to some of the points you've been making recently on the Substack, I want to talk about Rogan, and I want to talk about Riyadh a little bit here. With Rogan, you're not a fan. I want to go back to ahead of my notes. I forgot exactly what you said about Rogan.
I would love to hear. I love when people quote me back to me because those things are written at like 3 a.m.
Oh,
so
man.
Let's see.
Oh, he has single-handedly made comedy worse again. That's what
good.
said.
That's a good one. I agree with that. I
You
stand
agree
by
with
that guy.
yourself there?
That guy made a good point. Sometimes I go, I don't know but that guy made a good point.
Okay.
I think,
Why?
Okay, so this has just happened. Breaking news, not breaking news, but this is something that just happened today because I pay attention to all of the comedy universe because it's my industry and I'm curious about it and I like to sort of know what's going on. So just recently, Rogan came out with I heard him somewhere say, when Jesus comes back, he's going to be AI. Now that's funny.
Like he unironically said that?
Well, that's the thing. It's funny as a joke, but he did not mean it as a joke.
Okay.
And so here's what I'm saying. If I'm going to be told that this person is a voice of politics and a voice that young unaffected or affected, I don't know which way it goes, but young men who feel lonely are going to need to pay attention to, and he's going to say that unironically, and I'm being told he's a great comedian, I have a problem.
I've actually never seen his comedy.
That's the other thing. Rogan was known as I wrote this in my Substack. He was known as a guy who killed on stage, but you can kill on stage and be a hack. Like a hack is somebody
that's interesting.
Yeah, you can kill on stage because your act is sort of a bunch of like sort of premises that have been done a lot, or you're a good physical performer, which Rogan was, or you can just be super charismatic, which a lot of hacks are. You can just be young Rogan was super charismatic on stage. He was good looking, he was in shape, he had his hair back then, and he would kill. And also learned how to use the internet early on. But then he had a new special come out on Netflix last year, and it was the first time many of his fans saw him do stand-up comedy. And it's funny. His fans who listen to his podcast were like, this is not funny. So he has really played himself in the position of being a kingmaker in comedy without actually having the qualifications to be a kingmaker in comedy. Because the thing I give him credit for is the podcast. He really figured out the podcast space early on. He figured out how to monetize it.
Yeah, no question.
He figured out how to build an audience out of that.
Yeah.
He figured out how to get paid for it. All things that we can, when we write the Rogan story, which is a 18-part volume I'm working on, that's the part where you go, he did this part. But the rest of it is like, I think it's like a lot of times in this country, if you're successful at one thing, we give you credit for being some sort of polymath. And I think, when Rogan sits across from Elon Musk, it's like, these are two really dumb people having a conversation.
Do you think... So Rogan strikes me as genuinely curious and insincere. I think he's a sincere person.
Not insincere.
I think he's sincere.
I think he is, but he's also a kind of person who the last person to talk to him is the person who holds his brain.
Well, so... that's part of it, and the same thing has been said about the president.
Yeah, which is why they get along so well.
Be the last person in the room, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like Mamdani found that out recently. It's like,
Yeah.
Like, wow, all of a sudden Trump likes Mamdani for about a day because they were together. But Musk, do you really think Musk is not a smart person?
I think it's like a lot of people. He was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple, and so he was. Let's just be clear: born into wealth. Into South Africa, which was a great place to be a wealthy white guy person, And on top of that, he has been given credit with things that he did not. Like he didn't invent Tesla. He didn't. He invested in Tesla. Well, that's different than inventing Tesla. But he has framed himself as some sort of like intellectual polymath, where he's like, I can handle all these things. He has not made Twitter a better space.
Oh, he's destroyed Twitter.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, it's like, but because his wealth continues to go up, we assign in this country, and maybe this is wrong, we assign wealth with intelligence. When really a lot of wealth is where you were born and what family you were born into.
My read on Musk is, I don't know about his intelligence, and I presume maybe I think he's smarter than you think he is, but he is certainly addicted to attention. And so he buys the platform that he was posting constantly on, and then he
did it by accident. He like threatened to buy it. And Twitter's like that. That's
I know
an
for
offer.
a while it was like, well, he's not actually going to buy it. Then it's like, oh, he's going to do
And then
40
Twitter
billion.
basically was like, no, you're buying. Like, it was a whole. But yeah, so he gets, as they say, over his skis often, but he's got the money to pull it off.
Sure, and then he gets in the orbit of Donald Trump, and he becomes, an indispensable person ostensibly for the Trump team. And then he and Trump have this falling out, very public. He says. He goes on X and is like, well, Trump's in the Epstein files. That's why he doesn't want them out. Big surprise, everybody. Basically says the president's a pedophile. And then just a few months later, MBS comes, Riyadh coming back to our country, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there he is. There's Elon Musk asking for a ticket to the state dinner.
Yeah, and I would. So you said before we started, you said you were going to challenge me on something. So I'm happy to. But
we're getting there.
Okay, that's great. What is Musk's great intellectual accomplishment? Look, I turned it around, everybody. I turned the interview around.
Oh gosh.
What is his great like when the book of Musk is written, this is the thing he did. I would, I can, and that actually you can go that a smart guy figured that out.
Okay, so I'm going to answer it as honestly as I can.
Great.
Because I don't know him, and I've never met him, never talked to him.
Yeah.
And I take your point that the credit that he gets for all of these inventions maybe is misplaced. But certainly he is in the group of people who is futurist category that I think had he not become addicted to attention in the social media age, he could have been an interesting thought leader is maybe too big a word for him. He could have been an interesting person on the scene that is forward-looking in terms of where tech is going to take us. Sure. Instead, I think he's an example of what happens when you become addicted to social media. Yeah, for all the bad reasons.
I mean, literally. I mean, so I appreciate your answer to that. I would say the only thing I give him credit for is popularizing the idea of electric cars.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But I would not say that's a great intellectual. But thank you for doing that. But he's also then hurt himself by the way he's foisted the Cybertruck on us. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like this weird like 1-2 punch of like.
Every time I see a Cybertruck on the road, I'm like, is this a prank that nobody knows that they're...
my kids make fun of them. They call them toasters. I love the fact that my kids don't respect them.
It looks like a prank.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of people are going to pop out of it or something.
Like a test to see how far people will go just to sort of line up to agree with something.
Yeah, how ugly can we make a car and have rich people buy it? We found the answer.
Intentionally.
So yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't. Doge was a scam. There was nothing. Doge just lost America, lost good federal employees their jobs. It didn't save any money.
No.
So I just have a hard time. And recently, the newest scam he did, the board of Tesla, because they need him because he brings a lot of attention to Tesla, but they also need him to pay. They also want him to pay attention to Tesla, and so his new contract is worth up to $1 trillion.
He just negotiates a contract up to $1 trillion.
But it involves things like making the company like 8 times more profitable, like some sort of like 8 times value in the company, and selling 1 million Tesla robots.
But then like 3 days later, he goes on a podcast and says that within the next 10 to 20 years, money will be obsolete and there won't be any necessary jobs. Working will be optional. If he believes that, why is he negotiating $1 trillion contract?
Well, also, and we know what that means is that poor people will be in vogue. Like there will be more. That will create so much poverty, or that will create global poverty in a way that we've never seen before.
We're talking to Kamau Bell, who is performing.
I'm so funny. Wasn't that funny, guys?
Tomorrow night, 7:30, at the Nazareth Arts Center at Nazareth University, and this is really just a great opportunity for us to talk to someone who has done a lot of. I'm going to say this, not only comedic work, but important work. We're going to talk about some of the work that I think is on the scale of important coming up here. But to kind of close the book on some of the things we've been talking about here. So you wrote recently about Riyadh. So for people who didn't follow, I think we talked about this recently a little bit. Riyadh Comedy Festival happened a couple of months ago, and
during 9/11, actually, the 9/11 anniversary.
Was it actually during September?
Part of it took place during.
Wow,
9/11.
I don't think I realized that. So the Saudi royal family, similar to what they've done with Live Golf, similar to what they've done with these enterprises to try to, I think the term Kamau pointed to in his Substack, which is sports washing. So they're using sort of these Western popular ideas, comedy, entertainment, sports, to launder professional wrestling, to launder their reputation. I did not know until your Substack that the next WrestleMania or 2027 WrestleMania
is in Saudi Arabia. So let's just think about that. I'm not the hugest wrestling fan, but I like to pay attention to stuff. So WrestleMania, which is definitely a very, it's only been in like maybe North America, maybe it's been in Canada, but it is like, it has not left this area of the world.
Yeah, that's like our thing.
And this is the country that is the biggest fans of it. And maybe you could take it to England. There's probably other countries you could take it to, but think about there are people who've gone to every WrestleMania or have gone to most of them. Yeah. You've just said you're not invited. Not because they can't go, because the price to go to Saudi Arabia to do that is going to be it's going to price people out.
And the only reason, of course, you go is because they offer an ungodly amount of money.
And here's the funny part. Apparently, the WWE knows WrestleMania is so valuable to them as an American brand that they ask, can we call your event something else?
Right.
And we'll keep WrestleMania in this country. And Saudi Arabia said no. And
the offer is for WrestleMania.
We want the name WrestleMania because that's what gets us the sports washing that we need to do.
And as you describe in this current oil-rich, fossil fuel climate, they are awash in money that they can write checks that nobody can compete with.
Yeah, money means nothing, as they should.
WrestleMania is going to Saudi Arabia.
They've already achieved what Elon Musk said.
Yeah. And sports stars are signing up to play. In soccer teams are. Yeah. In Riyadh, I mean, things like that are happening. So this comedy festival happens, and some of your colleagues, many of your colleagues, had these decisions to make. Some very publicly, some privately. Yeah. You noted a few things that I did not know. For example, the Pete Davidson story was new to me. That shocked me.
I mean, first of all, just generally, I feel like I know too much about Pete Davidson, but
I'm with you there.
Yeah, just like who he's dating, who he's not dating.
I think you wrote that his dad died on 9/11.
His dad was a firefighter and died at ground, or as a result of Ground Zero. I don't know if he was at Ground Zero, but died as a result of Ground Zero.
So Pete Davidson's dad dies after 9/11, connected to 9/11, which of course obviously has these ties here. And his comment about why he decided to go and perform, he said, I think you wrote that he said something like, I saw the check and I saw how many zeros were in it.
And I said, I'm going.
And I said, I'm going. That was it. That's all it took.
It's the same reason I came to Rochester. I saw the check and how many zeros, and I was like, but different number of zeros. No offense to the university.
And meanwhile, you say people like Shane Gillis said no, and then they were offered double the fee, and they still said no.
Because they knew Shane was a big get.
Yeah.
And so here's the part. So according to Tim Dillon, who decided to go, he's a comedian, said he was going to go, but then he made fun of Saudi Arabia having like slave labor basically. Yeah. And then they uninvited him. So, because he made those jokes, and then he let loose how much he was being paid. He said he was being paid $350,000, I think. And he said the range was from
150
grand to like 1.6 million. Which, first of all, it's just the idea. I mean, that $150,000 for comedians who are named comedians would be enough to have to do this incredible press run afterwards of explaining why you went. I don't understand. And then even 1.6, because then I'm like, who's getting 1.6? Chappelle is getting 1.6?
Someone who's got a lot more than 1.6
And I actually think he got more than 1.6. I just can't imagine that he would have gone 1.6. But the idea that people who are sitting on, like Kevin Hart went. Like, to get it, I don't know if I said this in my Substack because I said this to my friends, like, to get me to go, I know we'd have to start with, and then I get to disappear forever money. Like, not down payment on a California house money. But
you hinted at this. This has to be said here. It wasn't just the money that they were willing to pay. you then had to sign a contract saying that you would not joke about the royal family.
You wouldn't joke about the royal family. You wouldn't joke about religion. I think there was also something about explicit sex, but maybe they got negotiated that down because then Louis C.K., who went, no surprise, negotiated. Apparently, there was some negotiation. Bill Burr went, big surprise.
I actually was surprised by that. I have to say.
He's the one who I think has not suffered is the wrong word, but has taken the most backlash from his fans.
And he's very ornery about it, as you note. In fact, you said on the press tour afterwards, you expected him to have a hard time because it's like, well, now you got to talk about human rights abuses, and he was just like, now the country looks great.
Yeah, no, he said like, I went there. I don't know what stores he named, but he was like, they had a Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Foot Locker. It was like. Where did you think you were going, sir? It's the richest country in the world. Like one of the richest countries in the world. Where did you think you were going?
Yeah,
like,
you can get a pack of Skittles.
He talked about it like he thought he was going to a war-torn country, and it's like first of all think you can't. For a guy who's supposed to know stuff, you can't be that ignorant. But if you are, that's the other part about me. Who are the people around these people who don't go, hey, Bill, I know you're dumb, but maybe you should not go? I don't understand.
Do you know Bill?
I met Bill years ago. When he was, because I lived in San Francisco and was the comedy scene. I remember when Bill Burr was the white guy from the Chappelle Show, and everybody was like, because that's where he sort of broke, was off the Chappelle Show. He was in a couple big sketches on the Chappelle Show, and he used to come to the San Francisco Punchline and do like the middle act, like 30 minutes before the headliner came up, and everyone's like, that guy's really funny. So I've known Bill for years. We're not close. I don't have his number. But I certainly have met Bill, but I haven't seen him in probably over 15 years.
On the list at Riyadh, did he surprise you the most?
Did he surprise me the most? Off the top of my head, I would say that like him and Pete Davidson are tied.
The Pete Davidson thing, I don't know. I don't know him at all.
I just feel like your mom would tell you not to go.
Yeah,
like that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
it's a 9/11 connection.
Yeah, like I mean, it's you don't. But anyway, yeah. But Bill, I think was the one I was the most like. He's going to come back and have to sort of like, quote unquote, fight for his life in the comments, which is what he's doing.
When we come back from our only break, we're going to talk to Kamau Bell about the thing that I wanted to argue about was his definition of criticism in the New York Times, and he's not a big fan of the New York Times comedy critic.
Ooh, hot off the presses.
But we are going to talk a little bit more about Louis C.K., who W. Kamau Bell has been writing about, saying you can't cover Louis C.K. and act like this guy was forced into hiding when he's selling out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I
take that point. But some person who is kind of still in hiding is Bill Cosby. And that's the work that I think belongs in the important category. If you haven't seen the 4-part series, and if you're not aware of what Kamau Bell has done in regards to the story, it's important. We're going to talk about that and more. You can see Kamau Bell tomorrow night at the Nazareth Art Center, 7:30. We'll come right back on Connections.
Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from Mary Cariola Center, proud supporter of Connections with Evan Dawson, believing an informed and engaged community is a connected one. marycariola.org. And Nazareth University, presenting The Capital Fools, a musical parody ensemble featuring former members of political satirists The Capitol Steps, where no politician is safe from impressions and song spoofs, with 2 shows on New Year's Eve. More at naz.edu.
This is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. W. Kamau Bell is my guest, and Kamau Bell is someone who has been doing a prolific amount of work in the comedy scene, political commentary. He's hosted programs that you have probably seen in a lot of places. You've probably seen him on CNN, heard him on public radio, seen him in a lot of places. He did a 4-part documentary series on Bill Cosby a few years ago. I think that was 2022. He wrote a book in 2017. He's done all kinds of work. His Substack is called Who's With Me, and he's performing in Rochester tomorrow night. Let me just read a couple of quick comments from listeners. Pat says, Kamau Bell, NFW, Evan. I'm not going to translate. Don't say it out loud.
Oh,
just like whoa! Someone just tuned in and was like, "Kamau Bell."
Like it's a big deal that I'm here.
Yeah,
or,
I think it just means no way.
That I didn't know what the NFW meant. I was trying to figure out. Okay, great.
No way.
Great.
Colleen says, and this has three exclamation points after every sentence. Kamau! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! So excited to see you tomorrow night. Same. Met you last time. Bucket list for me. Cannot wait. Love, love, love what you do. Bought tickets the day they went on sale. Welcome to the Winter in Rock.
Thanks. Buy some more tickets. I appreciate that.
That's Colleen.
No, I appreciate that. See you tomorrow. Let's get a photo.
Alan wants to know, can you ask if United Shades of America will be coming back on CNN? Kamau Bell was fantastic on that show.
I was fantastic. No, I mean, I was. No.
No?
I mean, yeah, they canceled all their shows that they had, so it wasn't just me. I'm still actually just talked to my ex-boss this week about something. So I guess now that just today Netflix announced that they bought Warner Brothers, who owns CNN, and apparently CNN is going to be spun off because Netflix does not want that. So like, so in that sense, maybe, but not. There's no immediate plan.
Okay. So I want to
get the business news with Kamau Bell too.
There you go. I want to talk a little bit about your thoughts about criticism. And you wrote on your Substack about the New York Times. First of all, one thing I thought was interesting was that you said that initially, back in 2011, when the New York Times first hired a comedy critic, you said that you thought, yay, the New York Times is taking comedy seriously.
Yeah.
So first of all, just a question about that. Why do you think it's important that we as a public take comedy seriously?
So I remember when I was a comic coming up on the scene, I moved to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, because it was known as a place that had turned out a lot of great comedians. Marc Maron is tied to the scene. Margaret Cho came from there. A bunch of comedians come out of this. It's also a spot where a lot of comedians like to perform. Chappelle's favorite club is the Punchline in San Francisco. So, and I remember how hard it was for the comedians to get coverage. Like the papers, this is back when there was local coverage, wouldn't like cover the comedy scene, and it just felt like it made it harder for us to be respected by LA because our own town didn't respect us. And I think one thing that is helpful is when the town starts to anoint their own sort of like up and comers, it helps that person get to the next spot. And so I just felt like it was like, and then what happens is like then comics would get big, and it was almost like the town didn't know that person was from there, because they hadn't. So I just felt like it is great when you look at comedy the same way you look at the local music scene. And I know a lot of this is like local arts coverage is not the same, but local music scenes are very important to be covered. And I say comedy is too, but a lot of times newspapers didn't do it.
No, I think it just, to me, tell me if I'm reading this wrong, it's an indication that you do view the art form of comedy as an important part of the art scene, perhaps as a form of public truth-telling or commentary. And, for years, sometimes you hear comedians step back and say, look, it's just jokes, it's just comedy. Jon Stewart sort of famously said, like, look, we're just telling jokes, we're not doing real news, when clearly he was doing something more important than jokes, and still is. So I think, to me, it looks like you view it as an important art.
It is. Well, it's a homegrown American. Stand-up comedy specifically is the way we understand it around the world grew up here. So it is a homegrown American art form. So to me, it's like, and we know at the top we care who it is. So why aren't we covering it along the way? So I think whether or not it's important, I don't think that's necessarily important that you have to be important, but I do think it is an American art form that we engage with and love. So why don't we cover it?
So here's what you go on to say about the New York Times critics.
Here we go.
You said, within a short period of time, I came to realize that a newspaper that only has one comedy critic only has one sense of humor. This is a problem because comedy is as diverse a discipline as any other art form. It would be like if the New York Times only had one music critic. We all know that would be ridiculous because the classical music critic has no business reviewing pop music. When you Google New York Times music critic, you get a bunch of different names. Only one name comes up when you do the same with the phrase New York Times comedy critic. But hold on. So,
let's get into it.
Because a singular movie critic, whether it was Roger Ebert for years or here in our town it was Jack Garner for years, they would have their personal preferences of what they like in cinema in the same way that a comedy critic would have their preferences, but they learn to appreciate quality across different genres, and maybe in the same way that a wine critic has. So a wine critic has to be able to, again, we assume that they know what they're talking about. It's wine.
I was going to say, yes.
But you have what you like, but then you can rate the quality of other things. Why not in comedy?
So first of all, you just fell into the Roger Ebert trap. Thank you for doing that.
Oh boy, what's the Roger Ebert?
So I'm from Chicago, so I have nothing but love for Roger Ebert. Somewhat famously, Roger Ebert, when the first Ace Ventura came out, ripped it to shreds, savaged it. This is nonsense. This is blah blah blah. The end of the year, he's like, "Hey guys, I made a mistake. I like that movie." Because that movie, Ace Ventura, was not made for Roger Ebert. So for Roger Ebert to go review it, it doesn't make sense. Why would certainly Jim Carrey wasn't thinking about Roger Ebert when he made that movie. They were making that movie for the people who like that kind of comedy. So Roger Ebert sees it and gives it the Roger Ebert, like, 2 thumbs down. When it becomes the biggest movie in the country that year, certainly the biggest comedy that year, he has to go back and re-review it. And famously, he went back and re-reviewed many movies because he realized, I missed on this. I give him credit for that, but it also says, maybe you need a comedy critic. Maybe the same guy who's reviewing the foreign films and the Scorsese films can't review Police Academy 4. And not to say that Police Academy 4 is on the same level as that, but in the same way that, like, the new mumble rap song that just came out is not the same as the local symphony doing Beethoven. But it doesn't mean they shouldn't be talked about.
Okay, I think that's fair enough. I think you've moved me a little bit.
Okay. I just think that, like, yes, you can't have 400 critics for everything, but I do think that, like, having a bunch of different critics to cover an art form that has a bunch of different expressions of it is important.
And then we get to what the Times recently wrote about Louis C.K.
There we go.
You were not pleased that the Times decided to review Louis C.K. In the review, the writer claims that
it was really one word I was not pleased by that I sort of built my case.
Let's see if I can find it here. Unexamined.
Underexamined.
Underexamined. So the writer claims that Louis C.K.'s recent work has been underexamined. And that bothers you because you say Louis C.K. is selling out arenas. Mm-hmm. How can he be underexamined? And I think what the Times writer might be saying, albeit clumsily, is that much of the Times' left-leaning readership since 2017, 2018 has taken Louis C.K. off their radar. So I think you can still sell out an arena and be off the radar of an entire part of the population that used to consider your work.
So we have to really do a lot here. First of all, why would that readership have taken Louis C.K. off of their plate?
Because of the Me Too era scandal.
Oh, yes. And so, let's be clear, Louis C.K. admitted to, self-pleasuring, masturbating in front of women who were colleagues of his, but underlings of his, like who were not as
didn't have the power or the prestige.
Didn't have power without their consent.
Yeah,
that's awful. I just think that I'm not even going to say as a
and
father
like
of daughters,
multiple times,
and from what I understand, there are more stories out there that people just haven't stepped forward for, as you learn with these things. So that's awful. So that's a very reasonable reason to go, I don't want to support this guy's. It's not like, so I think to say that, like, to act like he's under-examined because there's something wrong with the person who's not examining him, as opposed to going, a lot of you stopped looking at him because for understandable reasons. To me, it felt like you want me to feel bad that I haven't paid attention to him.
Okay.
You want me to feel like I've lost something for not listening to Louis C.K.'s jokes? And to me, that says something more about the writer than it says about me, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, well, then I'll stop talking for the rest of the time. I won't say anything for 15 minutes. Just kidding. I don't like this being framed as a left-right issue, because masturbating in front of people without their consent shouldn't be a left-right issue. I think that should be a humans versus non-humans issue.
I agree with that. And I also agree with the framing of the Times piece was almost like they were telling you about this indie music artist who only plays in small clubs that wait until you hear them.
And he's doing several sold-out nights at the Beacon Theater.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. He's got it. I did some research. I went to his website. The tour is mostly sold out at major venues, and the ones that aren't sold out are the shows that get added because you sold out so many shows.
So he's doing okay.
He's doing way better than okay. He's probably doing better because Louis, I know, often said it, being the darling of the press was a hassle. Now he can sell tickets and not have to show up to these things.
Oh, I didn't hear that he said that. That's interesting, though.
Yeah, he was. I think in some sense, maybe he was happy this came out in some way because it got him out of having to be everybody's everything.
Yeah, and I think you said in the Substack that you haven't found him to be substantively repentant.
I think part of this, and I didn't write this in there, I thought when all the Me Too things happened, I thought he had a path back. For one, and I'm not trying to say there's a spectrum here, but it felt like this guy is on stage, right? He puts himself on stage being sort of confessional and talking about his flaws. So therefore, there's a way back for him to do this. Doesn't mean he gets everything back, but it does mean that he could learn from this. He also was surrounded by a lot of Pamela Adlon was one of his close people. He helped her with better things. So I felt like he's also surrounded by people who I think can be like, come here, let me talk to you about this and let's explain. but he just disappeared for less than a year and came back and was just like, I think his first special back was named Sorry, but didn't really address the this in any way, and so, or in any significant way. So to me, it felt like, man, of all the guys who got Me Too'd, and as a guy who did a 4-hour piece on Cosby, I feel like I can talk about this. You were the one I thought could have come back, and you did, and I felt like you chose the easier path.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you a little bit about Cosby. So, Bill Cosby is someone who apparently still is canceled, or I don't like the word canceled.
Well,
I'm not a fan of the word canceled.
No, I'm not either. But he's also 88 years old.
Yeah, but I read, I don't know if this is correct, I read that he was considering a national tour in 2023.
As somebody who's sort of looked at this very closely, he's got a spokesman who says Bill Cosby says things a lot. And sometimes, at one point, the spokesperson quoted Bill Cosby as saying something about R. Kelly that was positive, and then Bill Cosby people were like, no.
So take it with a grain of salt.
So I just feel like I feel like coming out of prison, it was a good thing to release a press statement that said, and he's going back on the road. I have not heard any promoters say they were offering Bill Cosby or that he was reaching out for dates.
Well, the reason I wanted to ask you, and kind of on the heels of the Louis C.K. stuff, is Louis C.K. is selling out arenas, and he's very popular, and he is definitely held up as in the cultural right as someone who was, he's kind of this bad boy figure now that the cultural right likes to embrace. And I wonder what you think would happen if Bill Cosby tried to go on tour. Would he be embraced in some way?
I mean, it's so hard to say this. He's 88 years old. But
I take that point, but let's say it's a semblance. It's a snappy 88.
Like my mom, that's why I think of 88, because my mom's 88. So I feel like I know what that looks like. And she's a snappy 88. I think, yes, there are places that would welcome Bill Cosby in. Absolutely.
I think he would do well on the cultural right.
Because of the fact that currently, I don't know if you know who our president is, but we've normalized like men being in public who've been credibly accused of sexual assault and rape. We've normalized it in this country based on who we put in the White House.
Yes, and before all of that happened, Cosby was viewed in this country as being sort of a truth teller to young African-American men.
Yeah, but there was also a point, and I talk about this in the doc, where young African-American men were like, hey, man, the love is – like, where's the love? Like, it felt like Cliff was tough and was tough love, but there was love. And then Bill Cosby, his public persona just became tough without the love.
Cliff Huxtable.
Yeah, Cliff Huxtable. His famous, America's Dad, his famous Cosby character.
America's Dad. So I don't think he's going back on tour. I just think I think he'd do better than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but also I think this is what Shane Gillis, and to bring back Shane Gillis and Shane's, there's not a long-term financial plan in being the right's favorite comedian. It doesn't have the benefits of being America's favorite comedian or even the left's favorite comedian. I think because the more you get involved in the politics, the less funny it gets.
Who are the funniest people on the right? Because Rob Schneider's not funny.
No, I mean, on the right. Here's the funny thing. A lot of people are on the right as comedians, but they're not out there advertising. It's not the thing they lead with.
Right.
We had a whole tour in this country in the early 2000s called the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. I don't think those guys were Democrats necessarily, but they didn't lead with the politics. Tim Allen is definitely a Republican.
Yeah.
But his whole career early on, he wasn't leading with the politics. Once you start leading with the right-wing politics, because of the nature of the current era of right-wing politics, it starts to feel like bullying. And it starts to feel like hectoring, and you start to lose the jokes. Who recently made a right-wing pivot? Who's like Jim Brewer.
Oh, I thought he was right wing for a while. Anyway.
No, but anyway, not recently. But anyway, he's going hard right, and it's just gotten less funny because you're not letting the jokes lead the way; you're letting the politics lead the way. And so, even for me, who I'm sure
couldn't they say that about you and the left?
That's what I'm saying. But if you see me on tomorrow night at the Nazareth University Arts Center, the jokes are going to lead the way. If I have an opinion, I will say it, but there's going to be a joke coming down the pike. And also, most of my act at this point is probably about my family anyway. So, but I definitely think if it's not the jokes are still leading the way. If I have an opinion that's not funny, I'm not saying it on stage. Or if I do, I will tell you that wasn't funny.
Before we get to the family section of this hour, which leads us into tomorrow night, let me just wrap the section on Cosby. For people who haven't seen it, where do you want them to access the work?
So I think
we need to talk about Cosby.
It's on. I think it's on Paramount Plus, which is because it was made by Showtime. So I think Paramount Plus is where the work is right now. But you can get it from any platform that sells things. How proud are you of that work? It is without a doubt I just think it's the highest acclaimed thing I've ever done in my career, which is so fascinating to me because I've never been more afraid in my life to make something.
Well,
so
I can presume why you were afraid, but why were you?
Because I didn't think that enough. I was suspicious. I didn't know if enough black people would be ready for a black man to lead that conversation, and some of them are not, and some of them still show up in my comments every now and again. But so I remember I was at the Tribeca Film Festival after it had come out, and for a while I didn't even go out. I didn't go outside or didn't go to public events just because I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure. So, and I went to the Tribeca Film Festival months later, and a black woman saw me and waved me over, young black woman, and I was like, "Hey," she's like. And she said, "I love the Cosby thing." And I get a lot of times black people tell me in hushed tones, "I really love the Cosby thing." And she said, "But you blew up my group chat." I was just like, the idea that like in her group chat, people were arguing about the Cosby doc. And to me, I love the fact that it was an argument and not a tar and feathering of me.
Would you want to sit down with Bill Cosby if you could these days? No.
I don't want to have. I'm known for being a conversationalist, but a conversation only works if it's two ways.
Yeah, and so maybe in that spirit, I'm curious to know when you tour, a lot of your audience knows your work. They're excited for your work, and they probably are fellow travelers with you on the political scene.
Yeah.
Would you do shows that you feel like this is going to be a very hostile audience to my politics?
I mean, I will try to go places where I'm invited. So I book shows all around the country, and also I do comedy clubs, and in comedy clubs there is just somebody there who's like it's Thursday, so I certainly have those people in the audience. But I'm also not going out there to prove anything. You know what I mean? Other than I want to share with you the things that I have thought about. I'm not Borat. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to I really do want to connect with people, and you don't have to agree with me on everything. We can connect on lots of different things, but I'm not trying to go out there to stunt cast myself into a fight.
So a couple more comments here. Kristen says, "Evan, I've got a friend who works in the business. There's another big wrestling group that goes on tour around the world, and they're often in UAE and Saudi Arabia. They have the biggest following around the world. Ultimate Fighting Championships, I think, maybe? Is that?
UFC. Well, there's UFC. I mean, is it maybe thinking of All Elite Wrestling, AEW?
I don't know.
I'm not saying there's not fans over there. I'm saying, and I'm not even saying it's necessarily if the WWE wants to wrestle over there, fine. It's the fact they're taking WrestleMania over there, which is like, they're screwing. I'm actually worried about their fan base. You're screwing your fan base over.
Donna in Fairport says, "Love WKB. The world needs more of him. Hopefully he's inspiring others to thoughtfully question, look for, and strive for good. So excited he's been your guest today and can't wait to see him at Naz." That's from Donna.
Donna.
And I got to
You're getting a hug.
call BS you saying, you're not huge into wrestling. You know the face heel thing enough to say that's the Marjorie Taylor Greene story, which is of all of the things that I've heard about Marjorie Taylor Greene, your diagnosis to me makes the most sense. Can you just describe this for the audience in about a minute?
So I could. So there's in wrestling, the heroes are called faces, baby faces, and the bad guys are called heels. So we all can imagine who Hulk Hogan in his heyday was a face. The crowd loved him. He was a hero. They wanted to win. Andre the Giant was a heel for most of his career. The crowd booed him. He beat up Hulk Hogan. They hated him. But you need the face and the heel to be there to make the match. But there's also a thing where where a heel can do a face turn, where suddenly the bad guy's a good guy, which you've seen in wrestling often, or the heel or the face can turn heel, the good guy turns to a bad guy. And so when Marjorie Taylor Greene suddenly started saying things that Democrats agreed with, I was like, this is a face turn. This is not a come to Jesus moment. And after she made the face turn and realized how hard it was, she decided to retire. So that was the proof that it was a face turn.
But all these people were like, wow, look how reasonable. Like she was like, people were just lapping it up.
Yep, they were, because you want to believe, but I think also, maybe this is the problem. We don't have enough students of history in this country. It's like that was a classic. Also enough students of wrestling. So
we need more students of wrestling.
We do.
You have talked a little about being in a house full of women. Mm-hmm. How are your days these days in a house full of women?
I mean, so ninth grader, sixth grader, second grader, my wife, and my 88-year-old mom. So I'm experiencing all the levels of womanhood in my house at all times. Somebody's always crying, and I include myself in that. So it's just like it is. But I love my kids. They are the best. And I'm having a great time. The other day, I told my daughter, I was like, I don't know if we can use streaming music service anymore because they support ICE and she goes, and this is classic the Bell household. She's like, "Can I just not support the coffee service the coffee company that supports Israel?" like she was like, "Can't we negotiate the boycotts in this house to just one boycott at a time?" And I was like,
and
man,
she's how old?
She's 14.
Okay.
So yeah, I was like, I can't argue with you. You're doing the big work at 14.
Doing the big work. Are you? This is such a cheesy way to end, but
That's all right.
I've got 2 boys, and I worry every time
See how my eyes got big? I was like, oh, 2 boys.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow, that's how I feel about you having girls. But I mean, I worry about their future more than mine. Right? I mean, that's probably the definition of parenthood.
The thing I said to my daughter one time, she was when she was 12, and there's boys at school doing something. They were like asking girls to be their girlfriend, and then they would say yes, and then 2 days later they'd say it was a prank, and the girls would feel devastated. And so my daughter was like, "Why would they do that?" And I was like, "Look, between the ages of 12 and 30, boys are basically trash."
12 and 30?
12 and 30. And a lot of my women friends were like, "Why'd you stop at 30?" I was like, I wanted to give her some hope. But here's what I would say. The problem with being a boy and a boy or a man in America, even the good ones are going to spend time with bad ones and get bad counsel and bad advice. So as a dad, and I don't have boys, thank you, Black Jesus, I would encourage you to understand that, like, no matter how good they are when they leave the house, they end up somewhere with a bunch of dudes that they want to be friends with. And so it doesn't mean they're going to do bad things, but it's hard to get them to not be a part of bad behavior.
W. Kamau Bell, you're going to have to hear more tomorrow night at the Nazareth Arts Center, 7:30. Part of this national tour of comedy. Rochester, glad to be on the list. You can find a Substack, Who's With Me? It's outstanding. The Cosby doc, still as relevant and important as ever. You can access that on Paramount Plus, is that what you said?
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus, among many other ventures. Thank you for sharing some time with the program today.
And tomorrow night I'll tell the story of how I ran into Aziz Ansari, who did the Riyadh Comedy Festival at the Nazareth show.
Oh, boy. All right. There's a little tease for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kamau. Thanks for being here. That's W. Kamau Bell. More connections coming up in just a moment.
This program is a production of WXXI Public Radio. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, management, or underwriters. The broadcast is meant for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or use in another medium without expressed written consent of WXXI is strictly prohibited. Connections with Eben Dawson is available as a podcast. Just click on the Connections link at WXXInews.org.